Right, so let's get going with the round-up of the other 5 matches played in Week 6 of the Premier League. Through 3 fixtures on Sunday and a couple played last night. Let's get going then. Southampton at home to the league leaders Everton. Everton had a few changes to make. They had no Richarlison after his red card, and no Coleman. He limped off injured. Iwobi came in and Sigurdsson was in for Gomez. Southampton and Redmond restored, but otherwise looked relatively unchanged. And Godfrey keeping his place, deputising for Coleman. And it was him on 9 minutes who got a right crossing, which found Iwobi, but it got away from the Everton striker. 11 minutes, Redmond fed by a Bertram cross, and his shot, he managed to get the ball to Ings, but it was turned away. 12 minutes, Iwobi again looking dangerous on the left, cut in, and his shot was deflected wide. 15 minutes, a James free kick straight at McCarthy. Bit toothless, that effort. But the effort on 18 minutes from Sigurdsson was a sweet one, and it slightly grazed the bar before going over the top. And then Romero struck from 25 yards for Saints, and Pickford had to be very alert to turn that one around. And then the breakthrough a minute later, some nice interchange passing by Saints, and the final chip ball forward found Ward-Prowse, and his strike was across Pickford and hit the corner, and so Southampton had gone into the lead by a 1-0. An Ings cross on 34 managed to find its way eventually to Adams after defenders made a bit of a meal of it, and he found the corner, and all of a sudden, although it was deflected, it went in, and all of a sudden Southampton had sprung into a 2-goal lead. And that was about how it ended at the half. Into the second half, it has to be said that Everton really couldn't respond, and Southampton were really in control for most of the half, looking more threatening. James was largely ineffective. They replaced Iwobi, and then to beat it all, they also ended up on 61 minutes with a red card for Dean, a high challenge, perhaps slightly unlucky, but he was off, and so they were down to 10. Calvert-Lewin hardly had a look in, to be honest, and it really was a pretty dismal performance by the team that were finally at the summit of the Premier League after so many years. Redmond looked sharp and could have added to the scoreline, but eventually we got to full time. Everton, a reality check for them, but good news for Hussenhardt. Southampton have looked good. A draw at Chelsea, and now this win at home to Everton. So the final score then at St Mary's was Southampton 2, Everton 0. Next up was Wolves at home to Newcastle. This wasn't a particularly attractive match on the eye. It really didn't get started until the second half. 79 minutes, a great shot from Jimenez from the edge of the box was too good for Darlow, and it went 1-0. Looked like Wolves were going to coast to that draw, and then out of the blue on 88 minutes, Newcastle on the attack. The ball was cleared out to Murphy on the edge of the box, and he killed a beautiful shot wide of Patricio to level it 1-1, and that's how it finished. Both sides probably satisfied. Well, still with some work to do, I sense. Final score at Molineux, Wolves 1, Newcastle 1. Final game on Sunday pitted Arsenal against Leicester. These two teams promising much, but sometimes not delivering. Leicester was still without Vardy, although he was back on the bench, warming it with Iniacho. Soyas was also out. Fuchs came in, and for Arsenal, they rotated a few, and I think it's fair to say, I'm trying to read my writing now. Pepe was on the bench, but Lacazette was selected. Madison also returning to the lineup from the start here, and he was involved early on, but the first half was pretty disappointing to be perfectly. Saka looked quite impressive, but very few chances, it has to be said, although Arsenal were in the ascendancy. So goalless at the break. I didn't see much of this match, as you probably go. Bellerin on 67 minutes had an opportunity. He struck it on the volley, but it was well saved by Schmeichel. That was after some good approach play. And 79 minutes, Vardy, who else, was in the right place at the right time. He'd come on, and it was virtually his first touch, and he got an opportunity, a diving header, went past Leno, and it was a nice setup from, I think, Tielemans, and 1-0 to the Foxes. And that was about it. Vardy could have possibly added to that, but it was clipped over, that effort, deflected wide. The Arsenal really caught a bit short on this one. Leicester were hardly impressive, pretty defensive. Arsenal just couldn't break them down. Final score then at the Emirates: Arsenal 0, Leicester 1. Monday night's matches. First to the Amex, Brighton at home to West Bromwich Albion. These two are almost at the bottom of the league, struggling for points, and Welber substitute for Brighton, but Lallana was up front alongside Mopé, and West Brom. I'm getting to grips with their side, slowly but surely. They had Grant up front on his own though, and early half chances for West Brom, it has to be said, as we got going, but then Brighton came into their own in the second part of the first half. Trossard, 34, had a shot which was parried away by Johnson. Johnson's looking quite an impressive find. He'd also earlier blocked a Mopé shot. Mopé should have done better. Lampley, obviously down the flank, turned in a cross, but two defenders, including Livermore, managed to get involved, but it ended up with them one kicking the ball clear, and it hit the other and went in the net. So it was a rather fortuitous goal for Brighton, but they were one up into the second half, and certainly some West Brom showing a bit of resistance and guile, and they certainly had the better of it. Pereira was involved on 65 from a cross by Townsend, but it was it went wide anyway. And then on 82, eventually, after a good period of possession by West Brom, they got the equaliser. Coming out from the right, the ball was cleared, but not very well, and it went to the path of Grant, who hit a nice shot into the net, and so West Brom had got a deserved equaliser. So that's how it finished at the Amex. Brighton 1, West Bromwich Albion 1. finally, to round things off then, we were at Turf Moor for Burnley at home to Spurs. Burnley are starting to get most of their players back from injury now, and Wood was up front with Barnes. That partnership, of course, established last season, and so Dyche was certainly pleased to see that. Long still in defence alongside Tarkowski, still no me. For Spurs, Doherty and Davis were restored as fullbacks, and Moura came in for Bergwijn. And I didn't see a lot of this. It was fairly level pegging early on. Not much to report. A strike from Westwood on 37, but Laurie's comfortable in the save. And he responded to another effort from Goodmanson, but that was the half, goalless. There had been a goal disapplied for offside for Barnes, but it was clearly offside. Burnley having the better of things into the second note, and Tarkowski had a header from a corner on 55 that was cleared away. But then Spurs still looking potentially dangerous on the break, and that combination of Kane and Son came to their rescue really. On 75 minutes, a Lamela corner found Kane on the edge of the box, and his quick thinking hit the ball to the far post, and Son anticipation was absolutely superb. A flying header whizzed past the keeper, Pope, and that was 1-0 for Spurs. Earlier, Kane had been involved in a clear off the line in his own box. What a player this man is. But that was about it. A better performance by Burnley, certainly, but Spurs are made of stern stuff these days. I think Mourinho's coaching is now coming through, and they were full of themselves at the final whistle. Full-time score at Turf Moor was Burnley 0, Spurs 1.